Hello, my name is Sarah, and I'm a pre-sales engineer at RSM. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of NetSuite financial reporting that comes native with the platform. A NetSuite environment comes with several pre-built components, including several hundred reports. Today, we're going to focus on the financial reports, and as you can see here, there are categories of these reports, including financial. And as I hover over financial here, I can see all of the standard financial reports that came with my NetSuite environment. I'm going to use the income statement as our example that we'll walk through here today, but everything I'm going to walk through in regards to the income statement is relevant to the other reports as well. Every report in NetSuite boasts the ability to drill down and drill through to the data. So for instance, on this report, I can drill down by selecting View Detail at the top of this report, and then that's going to take me to a detail report for all of the information of this report. And then you can see I can drill down into source transactions by taking one more click. If I go back to the summary level, I can also drill down into accounts specifically by selecting the amounts, and then that's going to take me to the details specific to that account, where again, I have the ability to then drill down further into source transactions. NetSuite reports are also going to have time period filters here at the bottom left, where I can select from different selections here of pre-canned options like this fiscal year, this accounting period, last fiscal year, and so on. Or I can make a custom selection in the from and to dates here. A large differentiator between NetSuite and other softwares is the ability to run a global platform very seamlessly and run consolidated financial statements. You can see here I have a subsidiary context filter at the bottom of this report. And as I click on subsidiary context, you'll notice I have many options for selection here. So I have the ability to run consolidated financials by selecting a top-level consolidated view for any of my subsidiaries that have children. And then I can also make selections for individual subsidiaries and refresh the report and then view the data specific to that subsidiary. When making changes to these filters at the bottom of the reports, you're not recreating a new report each time. It's simply refreshing the data based on the selections you have made. There's similar functionality available for the other segments in NetSuite. So as I expand more here, all of my other segments become available. So I can then run my income statement by department, class or location, and even by item offering and by customer or project. These filters are multi-select capable, so I can choose to run the report for multiple departments, for instance. And again, I can just make those selections and refresh the data, and then my data will be queried appropriately in real time. An option that many organizations appreciate is the ability to run a column view of these financial statements. So for instance, if we wanted to select subsidiary in the column filter here, that's then going to create a column for every subsidiary while also still reflecting the roll-up and consolidated viewpoints. I can also do this for department, for accounting period, several other options. And again, I can just requery the data here and change how I am consuming the information. Every report in NetSuite is going to have these distribution options in the bottom right-hand corner. So I have an icon here to export to Excel, PDF, CSV, or a Word document. And there's also the capability to export to Tableau when appropriately enabled. When you export a report from NetSuite, it's going to export in the same format in which you are currently viewing the report. So you'll notice as I exported to Excel here, all of those columns that I had sorted into my report are also reflected in that export file. This also applies to any formulas that are being used in the report, as those formulas will export to the Excel document. The other export options available is the ability to print reports, as you can see with that icon, as well as email reports. Now I'll pull up the email option here so you can see some of the options. And a key thing I want to point out here is that you have the ability to email and distribute reports to people that do not have NetSuite access. So on this page, I would make a selection for the employee or group of employees I would like to distribute this report to. I can then also determine the sending format. Do I want to send it as a PDF or CSV or Excel document, for instance? And then I can customize the message that's being sent, as well as add any additional attachments. Even better than manually emailing reports, I have the option to schedule distribution, and that is done by selecting this icon in the bottom right here, in which I'm brought to a very similar page where again I can determine the employees or group of employees that I would like to distribute the report to and determine the sending format and additional attachments. But now what I can do is determine the frequency at which I would like to redistribute this report on a recurring basis. So you'll see I have the option to then send this report more than once, and I can determine that frequency. So it can be a daily event, a monthly, yearly event, or I can select a recurrence of every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and determine a sending time of 2 p.m. The last thing I want to discuss is the customization of financial reports, which I can do here by selecting Customize in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, customizing of reports is a permission that you can control in NetSuite, so I recommend only allowing those individuals that should be able to create and customize reports and giving them permission to do so appropriately. When it comes to customizing reports, I can do things like grouping my revenue by my classes or lines of business. I can group my expenses by departments, for instance, and you'll notice as I make these changes to the report layout and then preview the adjustments here, I can see how that's dynamically updated my reporting output. Back on the customization page, I can also adjust things like columns. So I can add a foreign currency column, for example. I can add a year-to-date or comparison column. And then I can also control things like the filters that I see and adding additional filters or pre-filtering the report. And then on the additional options, I can control things like who has access to the report. And I can say certain departments or subsidiaries, employee groups have access to this customized report. That concludes this overview of NetSuite financial reporting. Thank you for watching. If you have any additional questions, you should speak to your account manager or an RSM NetSuite representative.